Hey, what's going on, you guys? It's Cole here from scoutsmarts.com, and in today's video, I want to do something a little bit more fun. I want to talk about Eagle required merit badges, but let's put a twist on it. Today, I'm going to be giving you the difficulty rankings for every single Eagle required merit badge, not just 13 of them, but all 17 of the merit badges that are technically Eagle required, even though you can choose from a couple. So in a second, we're gonna be diving into my computer where I'm gonna be in Tier Maker ranking these merit badges. But first, let's just talk about the goal of this exercise. Like, even though it's fun to know how difficult the badges are, I'm hoping that this gives you a better idea of the obstacles that you're gonna need to overcome on your path to the Eagle Scout rank. So just by having this roadmap in mind, by having a plan on how you're gonna take on each of these merit badges and just being prepared for it, I think you'll have a much better experience in scouting, advancing in rank, getting your badges, and moving your way up to Eagle. With that said, without further ado, let's hop over into my computer where I'm gonna be ranking all of the Eagle required merit badges. Let's go. All right, so here we are inside of my computer, and as you can see, these are all the Eagle required merit badges. This is generally the order that scouts take on their merit badges. Some of the merit badges are better to be completed as an older scout just because you get more of an understanding of how your troop works and how the world works. So I put those ones later on, personal management, sustainability, family life, communication. All of those are great badges to earn as an older scout. So I actually have a full article on what Eagle required merit badges are better to earn at which times, so I'll link that in the description. But let's get started already. The first badge is first aid, and this is a relatively straightforward badge, so I'm gonna put it in the B tier. Now, the reason why this is straightforward is that although there are a ton of requirements for first aid, it's mainly knowledge-based, and most troops work on it as a group. So by working with your fellow scouts when doing the first aid merit badge, you're gonna learn things a lot easier. Now, the most difficult requirement for first aid is to learn CPR, and that's tricky, but usually you have a CPR instructor for this. So it's a bit more straightforward, and that's why I would say its difficulty ranking is only B tier. Next is camping. All right, so camping is a pretty challenging badge. The bulk of it is knowledge requirements. You need to know how to set up a tent, you need to know what to do in certain situations, where to avoid setting up camp. But one of the trickiest requirements for a lot of scouts is getting that 20 nights of camping. So because camping is such an important skill and because there is that time requirement, I'm gonna put this in A tier. This is one of the trickier merit badges to earn. All right, next is cooking. Now, cooking is such an important badge because in the real world, you're gonna be needing to cook for pretty much everything. It'll help you save money, it'll help you eat healthier, and also you can eat a lot more of your favorite foods if you know how to cook them. And because of that, because there are so many requirements that you need to do, so many meals that you need to prepare, if you're not already a cook, I would put this one in A tier because it is tricky to learn those fundamental skills right off the bat. Next, the swimming, hiking, and cycling merit badge. Now, you can choose any one of these three, and they're not created equal, Swimming actually is the easiest. If you're already able to swim, I would say that swimming is one of the few C tier difficulty ranking merit badges just because the requirements don't take too long to complete. It's a pretty short distance, and I wasn't a great swimmer, and I was able to complete the swimming merit badge in a couple days during a summer camp. So I think it's pretty straightforward if you're a swimmer, but if you're not, of course, learning to swim is no easy challenge. Hiking and cycling are both really tricky. I would say that both hiking and cycling are S tier. For hiking, you need to hike 5 10-mile hikes and one 20-miler. And let me tell you, that 20-miler is not easy. Cycling, on the other hand, has you learning about a ton of different bicycle mechanics, repairs, and you're also gonna need to do a bunch of bicycling tricks. I think the longest trip is a 50-miler, which I guess on a bicycle isn't as difficult, but I never earned the cycling merit badge, and the scouts in my troop that I've spoken to that have say it's tricky, so I'm gonna take their word for it and give it S tier. All right, next is emergency preparedness and life-saving. Now, while these both sound like super important badges, and they're actually not super difficult to earn. Emergency preparedness requires that you earn the first aid merit badge first, but outside of that, it's a lot of knowledge requirements. So I would honestly say that I think it's C tier in terms of difficulty. Life-saving, on the other hand, is a bit more difficult because you're gonna need to demonstrate things and there's a ton of requirements to complete. So I'm gonna say it's B tier. Life-saving is all about lifeguarding skills, rescuing someone on the water, whether you're on a boat, whether you're swimming, or really anything else. So it's a super important skill to learn, and I would actually say that you should earn both of those merit badges if you have the chance. All right, next, citizenship. Citizenship in the world, in my opinion, is the easiest citizenship merit badge, mainly knowledge requirements, but it takes a more advanced understanding of the world beforehand. So I'd recommend taking a social studies or civics class before that, just so you have that leg up. I think it's better for older scouts in general. I would put citizenship in the world, honestly, at C tier. I said there's not too many C tier ones, but I think these three would fall into that category. Citizenship in the nation is a little bit more involved than citizenship in the world, but it's not super hands-on and it's pretty straightforward. I'd say it's B tier just because the level of knowledge that you're gonna need is a bit deeper than citizenship in the world because of how intricate our country is. All right, now we're gonna go on to citizenship in the community. Now, this by far is the most involved citizenship badge. It's gonna have you volunteering, getting out of your shell, going to community meetings. And because it's so involved, I would honestly have to say that it is, drumroll please, I would honestly have to say that citizenship in the community is, it's either A or S. You know what, let's go with A tier. Yep, because you're gonna need to go to a lot of community events, get involved, and actually do stuff, which I think is really fun, but it does make the badge a little bit harder to earn. Now, personal fitness. Personal fitness is a really important badge. You know, it's just great to know about fitness in the real world. And the hardest requirement on this is keeping a fitness plan. You're actually gonna need to keep it for, I think, like 3 to 4 months. It's quite a while. And just because of that tracking, I would say that it's A tier. Because everything else is pretty easy in terms of knowledge requirements and understanding how to have a good diet and things like that. Those are all things you've covered in previous merit badges. So I would be close to putting it as S tier, but it's not fully S tier, it's A tier. All right, environmental science or sustainability. You can choose one of these two badges, and I would say they're not created equal as well. Environmental science is really heavy on the knowledge requirements, and it's a bit more complicated than most badges, but I think overall it's pretty straightforward. I would put it at A tier, but sustainability on the other hand has you doing experiments. There's an easier track for sustainability, but overall I would say that this badge is pretty involved. You're gonna need to get a pretty deep understanding, and if you do choose the hands-on route, which is the more fun way to go, it's definitely S tier in terms of the amount of work that you're gonna be doing. So solid S tier for sustainability. And these are both super important badges just to understand how the world works. So I'd say earn both if you can. All right, we're nearing the finish line here. Personal management. A lot of scouts say that personal management was their hardest merit badge, and I'd have to agree. Like, I'm an economics major, and still some of those things in personal management are hard to wrap your head around. Budgeting, investing, things like that, dividends. All of that makes for a pretty tricky requirement, and then on top of that, you're gonna need to track your finances for a while. I think it's about 4 months also. So because of that, I'd say this badge is firmly S tier. If there's an S tier badge, this one is it. All right, next is family life. Family life is pretty easy. You just need to speak with your family on meetings and track your chores for about 3 to 4 months as well, and keep habits and things like that. But I think overall, family life is not too tricky a merit badge, so I'm gonna put that one in B tier. And now for the final one, communication. Now this might be a controversial opinion just because some troops make communication a lot easier than other troops, but if I had to say, communication is probably the hardest merit badge if you do it right. You're gonna need to plan court of honors, give public speeches, and really hone your communication style so that you can be a better leader in your troop and just get your point across more effectively. I think that's a really hard but extremely important badge to earn. So because of that, because you're gonna need to be planning that court of honor and just doing all of these things to get outside of your bubble, especially if you haven't done it before, I would have to put communication at S tier. I do think that it is one of the hardest merit badges. Now, for more information on each of these Eagle required merit badges, you can Google Eagle merit badge difficulty rankings at Scout Smarts, and you're gonna find a whole post that I wrote outlining the hardest requirement for each of these badges, a brief description of what you're gonna need to do, as well as a guide to getting started on these badges and just getting the most out of them. So I hope you found this tier list useful. Next, I'm gonna be doing a tier ranking on these merit badges, but how applicable they are in your everyday life. So if you wanna see which badges are the most valuable, which badges you're probably not gonna be using too much, and everything in between, then check out the next video that I have linked here, and thanks so much for watching. All right, have a great one.